what it do, what it do, what it do, world. What it do, 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 world. What it do, 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 world. Shalom, beloveds. What's going on, fam? Hope everybody's good out there. Hope all is well. Shout out to everybody out there in the whole world. Everybody on X listening in. We live on Twitch, Kick, Facebook, YouTube Live. So happy Moga. Happy Friday to everybody. Live and well. We're live and well. We're live and well. We're kicking. We ain't finna let this go. We ain't finna let this go. We got a whole lot going on. So let me go ahead and start breaking it down a little bit because it's a whole lot going on, as we all know. You know? It is a whole lot going on. But at least I wanted to start with this. You know? As much stuff going on, gotta be at peace. Gotta be at peace, baby. Sing the mountaintop. Let's get there.
I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
That just gave you goosebumps.
Well, I don't know what will happen now.
I gotta let that run back.
We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Don't that feel good? That feel real good. I don't know about you, but that feel real good. You know, can't take your eye off the ball. You know, as much as what's going on, can't take your eye off the ball. So yeah. Yeah, that feel good. On a day like today. On the days to come. Prayer changes things. Truly does. All those beautiful prayers that was prayed. The people needed that. So I just wanted the grandstand with that and have that showcase. But yeah. My, how far we come. You know, we're only hateful because we're not grateful. We're only hateful because we're not grateful. We are only hateful because we are not grateful. We have the great opportunities to do great things. Shall you rise? Shall ye rise? So, there's always so much going on that will distract you, take your mind off of things, to where we got to get to those escapisms. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know people may be all over the place, but stay at peace. Be calm. Because it has been seen. Yeah, it's just so much going on. So, yeah, without further ado, that just felt so good. And it's a Friday, you know? That Friday nugget hat love. Bam. Oh, it was on that one.
Are likely in the United States over the next week, and one of these could be a rare winter storm that impacts areas like Texas and Oklahoma, back along the Gulf Coast, and even into the southeast, where there could be some snow and perhaps even ice accumulation as we go into early next week. And brace yourself for some of the coldest weather that we've seen in years east of the Rocky Mountains as we go into next week, as a big Arctic blast is coming to the United States. So in today's forecast, we're going to be breaking down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 10 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country right now. And for the most part, we're pretty quiet. A lot of sunshine out there across the country. There are a couple areas, though, of moisture and as well as cloud cover that are beginning to build. One of which is back over in Texas, and then we have another one in the Midwest. And as we go into tonight and into tomorrow morning, these air masses are going to collide, and we are eventually going to see a big storm form as we go into tomorrow across the deep south and into the Ohio Valley, where there will be a potential for some snow and even some rain. And then eventually, as we go into Sunday, this will move into the northeast, and then we could have another winter weather event take place back over in the northeast on Sunday, before eventually a large Arctic blast moves into the United States, bringing the coldest weather that we've seen possibly in years for much of the country. Now, a dramatic shift in the weather pattern is expected over the next several days, as we are expecting a huge Arctic blast, and as well as the potential for multiple different winter weather events and perhaps even some winter storms. So let's begin with what the jet stream looks like, because this is going to be really one of the biggest reasons why we are going to be seeing the weather pattern that we're going to be seeing. This is what it looks like as we go later into today and eventually into tomorrow. Our jet stream is overall relatively zonal here in the southern tier of the country. This is our subtropical jet stream, and then our polar jet stream is beginning to dip back over in the northern plains, and that is where all this Arctic air is going to be coming out of, is a northerly flow in the jet stream, which again are the upper level winds that are going to be steering tons of cold air out of Canada, moving into the northern and central plains. On the other hand, we're going to have a low pressure system moving across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and this will bring the threat for some snowfall and even some showers and thunderstorms as we go into Saturday and as well as into Sunday. Eventually, as we go into Sunday and then eventually into Monday, we are going to have an expansive area of northwesterly flow across the Rocky Mountains and the northern plains, which is going to feed in tons of Arctic air into the United States, which will set up the coldest weather pattern that we've seen all year long so far, and really the coldest weather that we've really seen in at least a couple of years for much of the United States. And eventually, as we go into early next week, that is when we think there's for a winter storm back over along the Gulf Coast in the southeast. The chances of this continue to rise. We're up near 50 to 60% now on there being a winter storm, and there's at least a 70 to 80% chance that we will see some sort of wintry precipitation somewhere along the Gulf Coast or even into southeast Texas, which is a very rare event. By the way, we do not see that very often. And this is what it looks like as we go into Tuesday and into Wednesday. So we should have a little trough that moves here across the southern tier of the United States, and we should have enough moisture in this area for at least some level of precipitation, which even if we get a little bit of precipitation, it will likely be in the form of wintry precipitation due to how cold it is going to be. With the larger weather pattern in mind, let's zoom in more to these winter storms that we are expecting over the next week or so, and we're going to begin by using the GFS ensembles, which basically incorporates a bunch of different computer models all into one single run, which gives us a better idea of what we could be talking about here over the next several days. So we'll begin with what's happening this weekend. We are expecting some snowfall across areas near the Great Lakes, mainly from Ohio back into New York, and eventually this will move into New England as we eventually go later into the day on Saturday. And then eventually, as we go into Sunday morning, we may see another shot of snow back over in the Northeast. Some of the computer models are not nearly as confident with this, but there is a chance if things do progress here over the next 24 hours with a low pressure system that is just a tad closer to New England, we actually could see a more significant winter weather event as we go into Sunday across areas like southern New England and even back over near Maryland. Eventually, as we go on Monday, that's when things start to get very interesting. Late Monday and into early Tuesday, we are expecting at least some light wintry precipitation back over in the southern plains, where there will be a potential for both snow, sleet, and maybe even some freezing rain as well, which could lead to ice accumulation. Now, I do want to point now in this scenario that this is a very confined area. It's not very large or widespread, and it's over light wintry precipitation, but I'll show you a scenario in just a couple of minutes, and I'll show you a better idea of what we could have on a higher end scenario, meaning maybe a more significant winter weather event with several inches of snow and as well as freezing rain. But this is what happens as we go into Tuesday morning, according to the GFS ensembles. It shows a much more widespread area of snowfall from the Carolinas back along the Gulf Coast through Texas, a little bit of freezing rain and sleet also being possible. Look how far south, by the way, this winter precipitation is. It's all the way down near Florida, which, by the way, is very possible next week, because we're going to have a huge Arctic air mass that is going to be ushering in tons of cold weather. So our Tuesday morning will actually be as far south as northern Florida. And by the way, I'm not ruling out some winter precipitation in Florida on Tuesday. Eventually, as we go into Tuesday afternoon, this continues to grow in size, especially back over near Georgia and even into the Florida Panhandle. And then eventually, as we go into Wednesday morning, this will continue to shift to the east. Eventually, we're done with this, I think, by Wednesday afternoon and evening. But this does appear as if it is going to likely be a multi-day event that begins late Monday night and runs all the way through Wednesday. And then a higher end scenario for this winter storm would be something like the Canadian ensemble members are showing, which shows again some snow in the Northeast and the Ohio Valley tomorrow, and then eventually a resparking of another winter storm as we go into Sunday across areas in the Northeast, including New York and New England, where there could be some areas around 4 to 8 inches of snow if this ends up happening, if we get enough moisture and we get a new low pressure center to form. But it shows a much more aggressive approach to this upcoming winter storm. It shows as we go into Tuesday morning, we could have a widespread area of light to moderate snowfall and even some sleet and freezing rain back over in much of Texas, and then eventually this expands and grows as we go into late Tuesday across the Gulf Coast and into the southeast as a much larger winter storm. And this is obviously going to cause much more significant travel impacts and also impact in general across much of the southeast, including areas even as far south as Florida, where we could have some freezing rain maybe in parts of northern Florida, which again never really happens. So this would be very rare if we end up seeing something like this, and then eventually moves towards the east coast as we go later into Wednesday. Now that we've laid out the details, this is what I think will happen. So this is the GFS model as we go into Saturday. We are expecting some light, moderate, and even at times heavy snow back over in areas like Pennsylvania and New York. As we go really late into Saturday, this will move into New England and kind of fizzle out. As we go into Sunday, we should have more moisture that builds up, and we will likely end up seeing another area of snow across areas like Maryland back into the New England, where we could see several inches of snow and perhaps even whiteout conditions at times as we go late into Sunday night. And then actually into Monday, I think things stay dry for most of Monday. Then as we go into Tuesday morning, I do think we're going to start to see some snow and freezing rain developing near the Gulf Coast. Now, I do want to point out that this is really what I'm leaning towards now. I think that this will be a winter weather event near and along the Gulf Coast, but I don't think it's as large as the Canadian ensembles, for example, were showing just a moment ago. But I do think we are going to see some areas of light to moderate snowfall and even some light freezing rain, which even the lightest bit of freezing rain will lead to ice accumulation, which would lead to travel impacts because there's no equipment to really salt the roadways, for example, across areas like Florida if we ended up seeing freezing rain in Florida. So just keep that in mind. We would basically see significant travel impacts almost no matter what. As we go late into Tuesday, this continues to move to the east, snow being possible even as far south as Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and then eventually into Wednesday, this moves offshore. Now, exactly where the snow falls, how heavy it is, and also where we see freezing rain and how significant that is, all remain up in the air. We could see the system shift more to the north over the next couple of days, could shift south, which if it shifted any further south, Orlando, Florida, get ready. We could have snow on the ground and sleds going down the hill with not even some snowflakes on the ground. So, anything's possible. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see snow in Orlando, Florida, but, you got the idea here. This is definitely going to be something that we need to watch for over the next few days. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as we are going to continue to have daily updates on this potential winter storm threat here in the southern plains and the southeast. And again, this is a very rare sort of storm. We don't usually see winter weather events this far down to the south. It's really a once every 4 to 5 years sort of event, maybe even more rare than that, depending on if this does shift further south. And as we track this winter system next week, it's important to note that many areas could see over an inch of snowfall, which would be considered significant even as far south as areas like the Gulf Coast. And these are the probabilities right now through Wednesday of next week. And notice that the swath here, areas like southeast Texas through Louisiana and Mississippi, those are where we have the greatest probabilities of seeing over an inch of snowfall at a 60% chance right now. The probability is a bit lower elsewhere because confidence just isn't there yet that we are definitely going to be seeing a potential winter storm here. But areas like Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, even back through North Carolina should be on alert here that there is going to be a potential for over an inch of snowfall. Again, it's not certain at this point, but the probabilities are increasing. And I just want to mention that this winter weather event this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, overall a few inches of snow is expected in the northeast, but what will likely be more significant is what we're looking at as we go into Sunday with a little disturbance that'll try to form just off the coast of New England. If that does form, I think a more significant area of snow will be possible in southern New England, back through even like Boston, for example, with widespread 4 to 8 inches of snow, and a few locations could be over 8 inches of snow. If you indeed see that winter weather event take place on Sunday, it is still a little uncertain, but confidence is growing, so definitely be ready for that if you're back over in southern New England. And before that winter weather event happens next week, we are expecting some of the coldest weather in years for much of the United States, especially east of the Rocky Mountains. And this will all begin Saturday into Sunday, where a strong cold up and down the East Coast and back towards the Gulf Coast, with the coldest up in the northern plains in the Midwest, and some areas could be as much as 50 degrees below average as we go into Saturday and as well as into Sunday morning. And then eventually as we go into Monday into Tuesday, this cold air just continues to expand across the Great Plains and throughout the East Coast, with the coldest of that air being over in the northern plains, where we could have some wind low as negative 50 degrees. It is going to be downright frigid. Make sure you're bundling up if you go outdoors to avoid a sort of frostbite. And then eventually, as we go into late Tuesday into Wednesday, this shifts towards the East Coast, where cold air will continue to build. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be right back to around or above average temperatures in the northern plains by Wednesday. So we're just going to have a complete flip of the script as we go into the early to mid portion of the week. But eventually, as we go into late next week, another big area of cold air will build. This will not be as intense as the one that we're looking at early this upcoming week, but it will still bring some cold weather to much of the country. And one of the reasons why there could be a winter storm down along the Gulf Coast is because of how cold it is going to be on Monday. This is Monday morning. Freezing temperatures reaching all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. Sub-zero temperatures filling in the Midwest and even the northern plains. And by Tuesday morning, that will only continue to increase in coverage as below freezing temperatures are expected for almost the entire country. But one area be, again, downright frigid is the northern plains, including Minnesota. The areas will be as low as negative 25 degrees for an actual temperature. With wind, it'll feel as low as 50s below zero. And just a reminder, our 750
Wow. I don't know about y'all, but that's cold. I don't know about y'all, but that is cold. Negative 50 degrees with the wind. This is winter. Winter is coming.
17th, 2025, 9:51 a.m. That's California time here. Latest activity on the earthquake 3D globe shows a 4.2 earthquake here, hiding out in a green flag somewhere. Got some further activity stirring up here across the Ethiopia region. Where is that latest earthquake? There it is, down there across the Java Trench, hiding underneath a cluster of earthquakes today. The Ethiopia rift boundary here is showing a little bit of further activity, as noted in the map, with a fairly recent 5-pointer there. Not being reported by the USGS map yet. They're only showing a number of earthquakes from yesterday. This is in that same region that's had a pretty good cluster of earthquakes here across the Great Rift Valley. This is eventually going to be filling in with the ocean water out here. Be a nice little scene here between the area to the east and the Africa continent there. Obviously, in due time, doesn't immediately, but it is a forming rift zone. It is rift zone, and it's forming quite nicely there with a bunch of earthquakes. And when you get that thinning, so to speak, here of the lithosphere, obviously you get a number of volcanoes across that region as you thin the crust and magma pushes upwards. That's what's taking place out there. No new update on any volcanic activity. 149 earthquakes here in this sequence of events, most likely due to some type of magma intrusion occurring at depth. But again, nothing has changed there in terms of the volcanic statuses. Obviously, they're across that rift boundary. See a number of volcanoes that have formed. The two of interest right now, of course, is Cal and the Dauphin volcano, where we're seeing this earthquake swarm and some type of obvious magma intrusion down below. So we'll continue to watch that. Nothing, like I say, nothing changed yet, but just still seeing some earthquake activity out there. All right, so far as the largest quake here in the last 24 hours, looks like it's going to be a 5-pointer out here across the Philippines area just after midnight. It's going to be this quake here in the blue circle around the Philippine Trench. Not really deep, just a fairly shallow one there at about 6.2 miles there underneath the region for the west coast. Go ahead and zoom in here, see what we got up at the Cascadia subduction zone. A number of earthquakes up here from yesterday. Looks like there was a couple more today as well. At least one earthquake today. 2.4, very shallow earthquake activity. This has been a region of interest here recently because of all the elevated earthquake activity and strain that's being applied out here across the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Now, any type of tremor activity we see out here tends to lead to further escalation of earthquake activity, letting me know that pretty well stressed in this region. Yesterday, a handful of earthquakes, or tremor, I should say. Bring this back up, the tremor map from yesterday. Showed about 124 epicenters here of tremor, mostly up in Washington or a little bit here in Northern California, into the deeper areas, about 35, 45 kilometers deep, into the subduction zone underneath this area. So any type of tremor activity appears to be meaning the region up here. Sometimes we'll see deeper quakes. But these last couple ones there have been relatively shallow surface quakes there because of the force that's being applied out here against the southern end of the Cascadia. We'll continue to keep an eye on that for sure. Couple smaller quakes along the Macama Fault. It's going to be a Coast Range fault here, a little 1.7. San Francisco area, pretty quiet, aside from a number of earthquakes there. Off of the Hayward Fault. Looks like it's going to actually be on the Calaveras fault zone here, southern end. Nothing big, just a couple smaller quakes. Just after midnight, a 2.8 came into this area, the Calaveras fault zone. Number of aftershocks in the area. Further out and about here in the southern area of California. Let's see here, really nothing big. 2.8 near Kettleman City on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley. Aside from that, microquake activity out here today across Southern California. No swarming going on, no unusual activity for now. Nevada, Utah still getting their typical earthquake activity. Idaho, a little cluster going on up here following a 3.2 yesterday. Doesn't look like we had anything else overnight, just some earthquake activity from yesterday. A quick glance here at Yellowstone. Let's see what we Yellowstone overview. It is Friday, goodness. Not a whole lot happening out here on the Yellowstone graphs. There's a 3-pointer there from yesterday showing up on Yellowstone, but that's in Idaho. Not a whole lot of localized activity. Otherwise, we would definitely be noticing it. Some of these other darker blue events here are wind events. These seismograph stations here are often exposed to the elements, and the wind and snow and whatnot, ice can be blown around up there across northwestern Wyoming this time of year. In the summertime, when they get those thunderstorms, we really see them. We really see thunderstorms show up there on the seismos. The thunder and the sometimes hail that happens up there really makes a signature on the seismograph stations. Pretty neat to look at, but it's not anything of earthquake or volcanic activity. Okay, Texas still getting hit out there quite a bit. Nothing new out there. It's just going to continue there for quite some time. Also, a little earthquake there from yesterday around the Tennessee region being added in early this morning, but that earthquake from yesterday. Let's see, Alaska region, a handful of earthquakes here in the last 24 hours, some noticeable up here. Even today, looks like a 4-pointer stirring up along the subduction zone here of the Aleutian Trench. The latest, a 3.0. Way up north. In general, this whole area has been a lot of advanced earthquake activity further northward. Got to watch this region right here. And I know it's got some historical earthquake activity in the region there for large-scale movement, but it's been a little while. And normally when things start to strain up here across the Alaska area, we've got to watch this region of the Aleutian Trench. It's a major subduction zone that can produce some big mega quakes. There's a rift boundary, seeing some activity. Java Trench region, pretty active over here so far today. Just looks like generally smaller quakes spread out. No major quake activity for now, but things are definitely on the move in that area. Japan, fairly active, but a lot of this here from yesterday. Well, let me see here. What do we got? Yeah, the 4.7 one of the latest quakes here across the Izu Trench. Still got to watch this area right here, the Kuma Ridge, the Nankai Trough area. This is a prime suspect here in a future large earthquake. It could happen here at any given time. It's been under quite a bit of strain recently with all the earthquake activity around it and pushing up against it. And it's been a little while since we've had a last big earthquake out there on the on that subduction zone, and it's probably getting close here to being overdue. So we got to watch that region pretty closely. Nankai Trough there, capable of producing some big earthquakes, exceeding the 8.0 range. Nothing going on across New Zealand for now. Big Island, Hawaii. Let's see what we got going on out there real quick on the webcam, Summit webcam. Still active out there. Goodness. As of 7:50, that's just about 10 minutes ago, Hawaii time going on. Although it looks like it's maybe a little bit less than last night. Still continual though, and that could obviously, stay in that fashion there for a number of days. There is a good amount of magma underneath the area that's been building up for quite a while. So we'll continue to watch that. It doesn't look like there's any other escalation going on out there across any of the rift zones in terms of earthquake activity and whatnot. Earthquake activity fairly minimal for now. All right, let's see here. South America, typical down there on any given day, nothing major. Let's go ahead and check out space weather. Things are happening. They're about ready to happen out here. Getting a number of large incidents last night. I knew that was coming. Near X-flare from M7.4, it looks like, is the maximum observed flare. And that is off of a rapidly growing sunspot here. Going to be this region. Let's see if Kevin's got a shot. Yes, he does. X-flare, M7.4 from 3964. That's a sunspot area that's really popped up and grown here over the last 48 hours from pretty much nothing. Harbors some potential for some strong flares, even some X-flare activity with an elevated threat here at 30% chance. M-flare at 70. When things start to crackle and sizzle like this, that's when things they could really pop off here in terms of the X-flare activity. And as you can see over the last couple of days, it's really intense here, more so in the last 24 hours. So we'll continue to watch a number of sunspots. 3964 here, getting a lot of intermixing here in between these main core boundaries, and that's a sign of very activity. And obviously we could see some X-flare activity from that region. Not so much over here. Maybe from this region there we're getting some advancement going on, and a number of sunspots up here in the northeastern quadrant that really not super impressed with, but I would keep an eye here on this one and this area down here for some stronger flaring while they're currently facing the Earth. Beautiful sunspots. If you got a solar telescope, telescope with a solar lens on it, obviously you'll be able to see the sunspots out there. And they're large, definitely some big ones. This is a big area as well, but in terms of complexity, any type of major flaring activity, just not gonna happen here from 3959. We'll keep an eye on 61 here and 64. No major roars in the forecast for now. We'll see how this plays out. Thunderstorm activity limited here to the south, a little bit in Oklahoma and Arkansas as well. Just some general thunderstorm activity today. Really not expecting any major severe weather from the moisture that's in position today. A lot of cold air coming behind that, but yeah, it is winter still, right? Maybe on tap to see some snow and ice down there across the south here this time as we head week. A lot of snow being potentially forecasted there across Louisiana, Texas. Goodness, even some ice involved in there as well. So we'll have to watch that as we get a little bit closer to that time period. And then after that, well, it looks like patterns start to shift up a little bit. Here with maybe some rain and even some snow there across areas of heavy rain. I'm sure hoping for a return pattern of the wet weather here for Northern California. Right now the models aren't hinting at anything major, but they are showing some type of pattern change out here. So hopefully we'll get things back on track here because February, pretty much got February and maybe March here for a hope and chance to get caught up here in our rain season, because it's been an awfully dry January. As far as any close approach asteroids go, we'll give these a quick glance. Looks like today a 58 foot. If it was this big, we would be in trouble. 58 foot house-size asteroid coming in within about 500,000 miles there, it looks like today, but even so, that's fairly safe. All these other ones are fairly close, including the stadium-size asteroid. Goodness, that is a pretty big one. All right, live look here at the seismograph stations. A couple earthquakes here in Southern California, China Lake. Aside from that, we'll continue to keep an eye on things here today. Definitely, like I say, this northern end here of California have been quite active. You just never know when the big one's going to hit out here, folks. So just got to be prepared. All right, have a good one.
Y'all. Yes, y'all. It is going down. It is going down.
Join me as I dive into the aftermath of the massive 6.9 earthquake that rocked Japan and explore how communities are coping with the tsunami warning.
这桥裂了都。
Yesterday, a powerful earthquake struck Japan, registering a magnitude of 6.9 and triggering a tsunami warning for several coastal regions. The potential dangers posed by this earthquake and tsunami are very real, and the consequences can be devastating. One of the most immediate concerns is the impact on local communities, where residents are being forced to evacuate their homes and seek shelter in safer areas.
Crazy.
The economic impact is also a major concern, as damaged infrastructure and closed businesses can have long-lasting effects on local economies. Furthermore, the risk of aftershocks and further tsunamis remains high, keeping emergency responders on high alert. And of course, there's the very real risk of loss of life as people struggle to access basic necessities like food, water, and medical care. The impact on infrastructure is another major concern, as roads, bridges, and buildings are all at risk of collapse or severe damage. This can lead to a cascade of failures, as critical services like power, water, and communication are disrupted. In the worst-case scenario, entire communities could be cut off from the outside world, leaving them vulnerable to further disasters. Japan is no stranger to earthquakes and tsunamis, and its unique geology makes it particularly vulnerable to these types of disasters. The country sits on the intersection of four major tectonic plates, which means that the Earth's crust is constantly being stretched and compressed, creating the perfect conditions for earthquakes. And with its long coastline, Japan is also at risk from tsunamis, which can be triggered by underwater earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. This combination of geological factors means that Japan must be constantly on alert for natural disasters. In fact, Japan has a long history of devastating earthquakes and tsunamis, including the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami that caused widespread destruction. This experience has taught the Japanese people the importance of preparedness and resilience in the face of natural disasters. The footage coming in from affected areas is heartbreaking, with people caught in the immediate aftermath of the disaster struggling to come to terms with what has happened. We are seeing buildings reduced to rubble, cars tossed around like toys, and families separated from their loved ones. But even in the midst of all this chaos, we are seeing the resilience of the Japanese people shine through. Neighbors are coming together to support each other, and emergency responders are working tirelessly to reach those trapped in the rubble. We're also seeing incredible acts of bravery, with people risking their lives to rescue those stranded in the disaster zone. As we speak, rescue teams and emergency responders are on the ground, working tirelessly to search for survivors, provide medical care, and restore basic services. It's a massive undertaking and one that requires the support of the entire community. In the aftermath of this disaster, it's more important than ever to remember the importance of preparedness and community resilience. By learning from the experiences of those affected, we better prepare ourselves for future disasters and reduce the risk of loss of life and And as we move forward, it's essential that we prioritize the safety and well-being of those affected and work together to rebuild and recover. That's it for today's video.
You get a raised volcano alert level, and you get a newly raised volcano alert level, and you also get a newly raised volcano alert level. This is a brief summary of the current volcanic situation in Iceland as a day after the directly adjacent Bardarbunga volcano was placed at a raised alert level due to the likely movement of magma. Grímsvötn was also placed at a raised alert level of yellow. However, while we know for a fact that magma is refilling the Reykjanes volcano's magma chamber before its likely next eruption in the latter half of this February, and we presume that magma recently moved at Bardarbunga, the situation at Grímsvötn is quite different. At Grímsvötn, a glacial outburst flood known as the Jökulhlaup was first detected to be ongoing on January 8th, as you can see in this tremor chart, which continued to get stronger and stronger as subsequent days progressed. At Grímsvötn, these floods can occur for three reasons, which I will now list from most likely to least likely. 1. A increase in fumarolic degassing underneath the volcano, causing additional ice to melt and build in volume. 2. A long-term buildup in meltwater underneath the glacier due to normal levels of fumarolic degassing. Or 3. A volcanic eruption or the lead-up to one. The reason why Jökulhlaups can directly precede volcanic eruptions is that the fairly rapid removal of hundreds of millions of cubic meters of meltwater from its can sometimes cause enough of a drop in pressure on its underlying magma chamber that it can allow magma which was already close to erupting to suddenly be able to break through overlying rock and rise to the surface. Because of this fact, and also since a low double-digit percentage of eucalypts are associated with or precede volcanic eruptions at Greensvan, its alert level was raised from green to yellow on January 15, 2025. The eucalypt in question is occurring at Greensvan's summit cauldron with up to a quarter of a cubic kilometer of meltwater expected to drain to the south across the next week. This meltwater has already begun to enter the Gig River, creating the potential for flooding of local roads and bridges, with the peak of this flood expected to occur on Saturday or Sunday. The peak flow rate of this eucalypt is expected between 300 and 1,000 cubic meters per second, translating to an event that would overall be rated as only small or medium in size. Such a figure is a far cry from the eucalypts directly preceding or associated with volcanic eruptions in 1934, 1938, 1996, and 2004, which each ranged between maximum flood rates of 4,000 to 50,000 cubic meters per second. While as of the writing of this video, there have been no area or road closures, this fact could quickly change in the upcoming days. In my opinion, I am personally not expecting this eucalypt to signal or trigger a volcanic eruption from Iceland's single most active volcano in historical time. Not only are the vast majority of eucalypts which occur at Greensvan unrelated to volcanic eruptions, but its summit cauldron since 2021 has created a eucalypt about once a year, almost on schedule, with the last eucalypt occurring there in January 2020. However, volcanoes are unpredictable, and for all we know, Greensvan could end up soon erupting even with a lack of an elevated rate of earthquakes. Such a hypothetical eruption could remain completely subglacial or have an explosive eruption plume break through the Vatnajökull ice sheet and rise into the atmosphere. Greensvan's last eruption occurred in 2011. Historical time, its eruptions have occurred between 10 months and 32 years apart, with an overall average of 11 years apart. Greensvan isn't currently overdue to erupt per se, but there are some factors that suggest it is more than halfway to producing its next eruption after 14 years of inactivity. As a final note,
Fortunate to witness a rare cosmic event next week when a celestial awaits sky watchers. 7 planets will align in a breathtaking arc across the night sky. Our next story explains how this planetary is taking place during the Mahakumbh, a spiritual gathering in North India. Take a look. With that, we also end this bulletin, but stay with us. We will be back after a short break.
Astronomical calendar with a spectacular planetary parade. Our evening sky will be transformed into a cosmic theatre on February 21st. This celestial spectacle features 7 of our solar system's planetary neighbours: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune and Uranus, all appearing to line up in an ethereal dance across the heavens. The parade is particularly enchanting as Mars blazes brilliantly, positioned in direct opposition to the Sun. Venus and Saturn offer an intimate celestial tango, drawing within a mere 2 degrees of each other, creating what astronomers call a close conjunction, almost a cosmic kiss in the twilight sky.
So a planetary parade people might often think of as planets lining up in the sky. Or more so in space. So when we see pictures from NASA or in textbooks, they're often drawn side by side. When we talk about a planetary parade as something you can see in the sky, it's that the planets appear in a roughly line-like position across the sky.
What makes this event particularly accessible is its visibility even through the veil of urban light pollution. The planet's inherent brightness pierces through city glow, offering a display visible to all just after sunset. While Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn reveal themselves to the naked eye, Uranus and Neptune play coy, requiring the assistance of binoculars and telescopes to join the celestial gathering.
In terms of days, the day doesn't matter as much as the time. Like you said, it's visible now, but once we get into mid-February or so, it's going to start to be more difficult to see Saturn and Venus because they're going to be lower in the western sky soon after sunset. So we'll start to lose them in the brightness of sunset.
For Indians, this celestial event carries deeper significance, intertwining astronomy with spirituality. The planetary alignment coincides with the ongoing Mahakumbha Mela, a once-in-a-lifetime event. Held in the city of Prayagraj, this grand spiritual festival attracts an 450 million devotees. The Mahakumbha, influenced by the powerful conjunction of Jupiter and the Sun in Aquarius, is steeped in astrological significance. This unique planetary alignment is considered highly favorable for the personal development of all the zodiac signs. For the faithful, bathing in the sun during this alignment is believed to cleanse sins and align one's soul with cosmic energies. The ongoing Mahakumbha marks a return after 144 years. Together with the planetary parade, the celestial symphony connects humanity with the cosmos.
Every word you say is a frequency that creates an effect around you. Every time you think, you move, everything you do goes into that central toroidal structure of your atoms. To show you the beauty of the human voice, this is the work of John Stuart Reid and his partners and the cymoscope, just to show you the infinite number of shapes of sound as sound manifests into physical form. Every frequency has its own very specific shape. And there are an infinite number of these. Sound manifests reality. The moment you make a sound, it goes on in three-dimensional, in all space, as a bubble out of your mouth. When you see the three-dimensional bubble cut in half, and you look at the cross-section of it, can you see the cross there in the middle? And you start seeing the inspirations behind the crosses and the religious symbols that most specifically Christian denominated religions have. And when you drill deeper into some of these images, these cymatic patterns of sound, it becomes even more obvious what these guys knew, because you find this, a cross in a circle, and you realize that this cross in a circle, being the source of sound, was the inspiration for the symbols when they came up with them for the religious denominations, telling us that they actually understand cymatics, they understand source, they understand resonance, and they hid it in the symbols with which they then keep oppressing and enslaving the people. Even the medicine wheel in Native American culture is just a cross in a circle, telling us that sound heals. And they're absolutely right, sound does heal. Because if sound is a primary source of all things, well, we should be able to use sound for everything. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. Sound levitates, it boils water, creates light, it creates DNA, it heals, it destroys pathogens. It's the precursor to electromagnetism, and this is an important thing. Sound causes electromagnetic effect, not the other way around in the universe. And this is amazing because when all of this starts falling into place, everything can be explained. We can truly start to understand everything about the atomic structure, from the smallest atoms to everything in creation, to the galaxies and the universes and the meta-universes, and how it all fits together. And we can also start to recognize when something has gone wrong. Because when we understand the harmonics and the resonance of it and how it should behave, we can see when it's gone wrong, and then we can do something to fix it. And that's exactly what vibrational medicine and vibrational healing is all about. So this guy, Peter Davies, he has been boiling water with sound since 1940. He died about 2 years ago, and he took his secret to his grave. And that's a great shame. The only reason he took his secret to his grave is because of money. He was waiting for someone to put money into his device so they could manufacture it, put it into production lines, and sell it to people around the world so he could make millions of dollars. And unfortunately, we are none the wiser, and we're all speculating how the hell this Spitfirelet could boil water with sound, and thousands of scientists and millions of scientists around the world have not been able to replicate this. That still boggles my mind. And I've been talking about this guy now for 5 years, and nobody has gone out there, or scientists that's got access to laboratories, to all this stuff, they haven't gone out to try and replicate this.
92-year-old former Spitfire pilot Peter Davey claims his invention uses the power of sound to boil water.
Yes, they're a bit baffled how it works. Nobody really knows how it works.
And I don't understand what the problem is. This guy here, Luc Montagnier, in 2011, spontaneously created DNA with sound. He took one test tube, filled it with water and DNA, and he took another empty test tube with water, he submerged them into water, not too far from each other, and exposed it to 7 hertz. Interesting number, that's 7 hertz, isn't it? We get back to those 7 days of creation, right? 6 days of creation and sacred geometry. He exposed it to 7 hertz, and very shortly afterwards, DNA spontaneously manifested in the empty test tube. Sound manifests reality. It's fantastic. It's the same as when you put sand on a metal plate, and you put a sound frequency through it, and you get these beautiful patterns that are created on the metal plate. Same thing, except this is in 3D, in a test tube, manifesting DNA. You know when you take a laser beam and a frog's egg, and you shine a laser beam through it, and you shine it into a lizard's egg, the light picks up the DNA from the frog's egg and it deposits it in the lizard's egg, and the lizard's egg turns out to be a frog. The light picks up the frequencies and the energy from the DNA in the frog's egg and deposits it. So this is how we can start seeing how we can use sound and resonance and our knowledge of that to manipulate our own reality. Sound is free energy. This is really important for us to understand. Sound is free energy. It is the most abundant source of free energy in all of creation and on our planet. Because Mother Earth rings like a bell. And this is one of the most ignored statements that Nikola Tesla made. The Earth rings like a bell, and if you know how to tap into that sound frequency of the Earth, you'll forever have an insatiable source of energy that you can convert to any kind of other energy that you want, as long as you know how to do that. And this is what I believe he did. He tapped into the sound frequency of Mother Earth, and what he did with it up there is still out for discussion. That's what everyone's looking for. That radiant source of energy that goes through everything at infinite pace and doesn't kill you when you accidentally put your hand in there, because it's not dangerous, and yet it lights up everything we can imagine. So what does this all have to do with ancient civilizations? Everything, because they understood all of this stuff. They understood resonance, they understood sound and frequency, and they used it as a source of energy. Somehow these guys were using cone technology with magnets and cone there, and this is the technology they used to manipulate humanity. Cone-shaped tools and ancient technology. Once I started studying this, it blew my mind. It is a completely misunderstood and ignored part of ancient civilization. Cones in all ancient cultures, Africa, in England, in Egypt, cones everywhere. In Australia, this Mayan deity is holding 2 cones. The importance of holding 2 cones is really critical. I'll explain to you why I believe that is so. This guy's healing, this is a Sumerian statue, healing somebody with cone-shaped tools, cone-shaped hats used in special ceremonies. Wizards wear cone-shaped hats, and their wands are cone-shaped. And then obviously the cones of these ancient beings that were doing something to us, or humans. And those are not blood vessels in the dragonfly. Those are hollow tubes, and the dragonfly doesn't flap its wings like a bird, it vibrates them and buzzes them. It's the buzzing of those wings, the sound of those wings, that goes into the tubes, the hollow tubes, and at the bottom of those hollow tubes there are hundreds of tiny little cones. So the sound frequency goes out of the cones, creating these toroidal fields around the dragonfly's wings, putting them into a state of gravity-free zone around them because of the shaped technology in their wings. This is the most powerful antenna ever built, thousands and thousands of times stronger than any antenna before, and it can both send and receive cones on a metal plate. Pay attention to that structure. Can you see the similarity between the bug's wings and that antenna? And the plot thickens. Everything that we do in science, technology, in development, it's all just mimicking nature, biomimicry. Sound levitates. All ancient cultures talk about levitating things with sound. Not just sound, but also with mind and thought. Now, we hear about it all the time, but until you see something being levitated by sound, it's difficult to comprehend. Here's a beautiful example. Most of the stuff exists on YouTube. Everything in physics, in science, in biology, everywhere manifests in toroidal fields. Everything is a toroidal field or a torus. Everything starts out as a torus, and especially sound. Sound being the primordial source of everything. Really important for us to understand how sound manifests into toroidal fields, toruses, torus shapes like that. And this is why every time our heart beats, it creates a very powerful toroidal field around our bodies. And because sound does not stand still and sound moves, that moving sound that creates a toroidal field around our body creates a magnetic field, and that moving magnetic field creates an electromagnetic field around our bodies, all because of our bloody beating hearts. And then you got to ask yourself, what makes your heart beat? And doctors have no answers for that. The toroidal shape of sound, we're now starting to understand how every sound, the letters of the alphabet, the vowels, and even the consonants all have toroidal shapes. Everything manifests in a toroidal field. You cannot get away from it. And then the toroidal field of sound becomes a scalar weapon and turns into scalar technology. And even color manifests in toroidal shapes and toroidal fields, toruses. Color, because every color has a frequency to it, and every frequency has a sound to it. Every light frequency has a sound frequency attached to it, and therefore it is also a torus. The shapes in nature, the shapes in triangles, the shapes that we find in sacred geometry, how even those shapes have frequencies connected with them. Keep in mind how important logos are, how important symbols are that ancient cultures and occult organizations have. Every time you're looking at a logo or a symbol of some organization, picking up the frequencies, the sound frequencies that come through the light that travel from that shape. Do not think you're looking at something benign, that it has no effect on you. A shape or an image has as much effect on you as a sound frequency does. When you combine the sound with the image, this is why movies are so powerful, because now you got images and the sound entering your being. We are completely brainwashed and hypnotized into a sense of hypnotic existence, believing whatever they want us to believe, whoever they are, the puppet masters. Everything is just originates in toroidal fields of resonance, and it starts with the subatomic particles like the electron. Electron is simply a coherent resonance in a toroidal field, and this is really what an electron looks like, something like this, the torus model of the electron. Everything manifests in toroidal fields. Nothing is exempt from this. Atoms are toroidal fields. Atoms are not these crazy things that we're shown as atoms today, the atomic model that we get shown today. That is a complete, that's a theory. It has never been proven to be absolutely accurate. Here's a fascinating image of a molecular torus of the carbon monoxide, and you notice the similarity of this image, that they're creating a toroidal field going into the center, compared to the magnetic field in a cone shaped, because it seems that magnetic fields naturally form in cone shapes, because again, a torus from the top and from the bottom, there's a cone that goes into the top and a cone that comes to the bottom, and where the two cones meet, actually creating a toroidal field. So the magnetic fields of a torus actually take on a cone shape. And here's an image, cross-section of a magnetic cone. Can see the similarity. So toruses and cones are inextricable, becomes a very important thing for us to grasp. You cannot separate cone technology or cones and magnetic or toroidal fields. They're the same thing. That reminds us that the solar system is a toroidal field as well, and the galaxy is a torus. And so it goes from the electron, the atom, solar system, galaxy, the Earth. The perfectly balanced toroidal shape, or the balanced magnetic torus, looks like this. And once again, I think we've been fooled by being taught about positive and negative, because in the perfectly balanced magnetic field, there seems to be no positive and negative. It seems to be the same charge working in opposite direction. One coming from the top and the other one coming from the bottom. And this is really interesting. That needs to be discussed and investigated a lot more. So this is the torus spinning from the top down and from the bottom up in opposing directions, the same energetic field. And where they meet in the middle, where that bright dot is in the middle, that is what some people refer to as the 0 point, or as Nassim Haramein calls it, the vacuum. That's where you enter the infinite vacuum of the infinite density of creation. And we can thank Nassim for giving us the physics papers that show that the density of the vacuum is infinite. So, therein lies the important understanding how sound moves faster than the speed of light, because the resonance and the sound frequencies that get sucked into the torus, that's what they do. They suck it in and they also give it out. Actually, what the torus does, it pulsates all the time. It pulsates like this because it's moving. Sound moves. So it pulsates, goes in and out all the time. So there's stuff going in and there's stuff coming out. Out of that infinite density, everything in creation seems to manifest. It is at that point that you get the accretion disk that is then spread out at the galactic torus, the toroidal galactic equator. Now, quickly. The denser the medium, the slower the speed of light. If you put light through a medium, the denser the medium, the more it slows down the light. The converse is true for sound. The denser the medium, the faster the speed of sound. That's why sound travels faster in water than it does in air. So how fast does sound travel in an infinitely dense medium? Infinitely fast.
You what, mate?
So, you definitely got to chew the meat and spit out the bones, because they will tell you half truths and full lies. For one, breaking news, folks: Santa Claus is not real, and Nikola Tesla is not real. He is an AI generated photo that they have been using to manipulate the people. Breaking news: he is not real. He is actually George Washington Carver. He's one of the most prolific inventors in our history, and he invented hundreds, if not thousands, of inventions and patents, and it was taken away from him, so, and split amongst folks. So you have to put narratives to cover things up. Then you have to have a little bit more common sense to recognize that some just don't smell right, you know? Yeah. So a lot of what he's saying is still mixed in with a lot of that ideology that is completely still lost and confused and still don't know what to do. You know, just still lost and confused and don't know what to do. But it's all right. Because the things that are happening right now are on a magnificent level. And it's definitely waking people up. Definitely waking people up. People have a whole lot to say. It's still crazy out here in the streets. On a macro level, you see in flares. To see that start kicking up now, yeah, that's something real. Facing towards, that'd be crazy if the flares like blast what the alignment is, because it's starting to kick up like it is now. That'd be interesting. Like all one row, corner pocket, you know. Oh, what a wonderful time we living in. Oh, what a lovely time they were living in. Yes, I got so many, and I'm trying to Make sure I find the right ones. That was where. It's wild, y'all. I see it everywhere. See it everywhere.
Fox 5 sent John Huck from the anchor desk on the special assignment.
He is covering both the impact of the Eaton and Palisades fires.
John is live from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, serving as a staging area for firefighters. So, John, you spent the last several days talking to people who have lost everything.
I certainly have, Joan, Kim, and good afternoon. In fact, we're talking about the winds. We're beginning to feel them kick up a little bit more here, and that is a concern for firefighters, especially in the foothills where those winds will certainly be stronger. And as Joe mentioned, we are at the Rose Bowl, an iconic football stadium. And consider this, just about 2 weeks ago, thousands of fans were streaming into the Rose Bowl for a college football playoff game between Oregon and Ohio State. But now it is a giant firefighter camp. More than 1,000 firefighters stationed here. They have set up tents right behind me, hundreds of tents for firefighters to grab what sleep they can. We heard this morning from a firefighter at breakfast that she hasn't even slept for several days. So this is the scene here at the Rose Bowl. Meantime, in the Pacific Palisades, we are hearing from more survivors of the fires. Hillary Cannon and her family fled their home in the Palisades when the fire broke out. She and her husband returned just a couple of days later, just before the police and the National Guard really restricted access to the neighborhoods. So they weren't breaking any laws, but they did get back in to see what was left. And what was left was nothing. She did sort through rubble. She found a few keepsakes that had survived, but other than that, it really was nothing. And Hillary and I we were introduced by a common friend before I came out here. And the first question I asked her when I got here is, how are you doing?
Devastation has a whole new depth to it. Gratitude has a whole new level that I never thought was possible. I'm heartbroken. I'm distraught. I'm slightly hopeful. I'm getting to hopeful. I'm sad. I'm so sad. I'm sad for my children, my community.
And Hillary does have 4 children, ages 3 to 10 years old. I asked her how are they processing this news that they've lost their home. She said they've all processed it in their different ways, but she says it's been especially difficult for the 10-year-old.
Have something like this happen to her has been so hard on her. I think the only thing that has made it easier on her is that almost all of her friends have lost their homes. She will be talking with like a group of friends, and one will say, I lost my home, and then it's like, so did I, so did I, so did I.
She says having her daughters is a blessing, and she needs to remain strong for them now. She said she didn't think the 3-year-old really understood what was happening. She had been very quiet, and then the other night at a friend's house, she suddenly blurted out, "My house burned down." Hillary says she doesn't think she knows what that means, but she understands that her house is gone. We're live in Pasadena. I'm John Huck. Back to you.
Yeah, tough to explain to kids and help them understand the situation.
It's heartbreaking.
So, John, what about lawsuits already filed?
There are 2 lawsuits that have filed so far. A class action lawsuit against Southern California Edison, claiming that they did not shut off the power ahead of the Eaton fire. The utility company says they in fact did, but there is video circulating on social media that shows a power line arcing. Now, that's not definitive proof, but the claim is that video was taken shortly before the Eaton fire broke out. So there's a lawsuit been filed against Southern California Edison on that. Also a lawsuit filed against the city's Department of Water and Power, claiming that they were negligent in failing to maintain water to the hydrants. And as we all know, we heard widespread reports of hydrants not having water. The governor has ordered an investigation into what happened there. He says he's getting several different explanations. And he says as long as that's the case, he's not getting the true story. So we'll have to follow that.
And John, you talked a little bit about the Palisades fire, residents still being kept out there. What about the Eaton fire? Is that also the case?
No, the Eaton fire, even though it's been hit harder, twice as many structures lost, some people are being allowed back in, the ones whose homes are still standing. However, there are a lot of guidance going along with that. They're being told to be careful. There's going to be, all sorts of chemicals in the air. There's arsenic. There's asbestos. To be very cautious. Don't try to start the electricity or gas on your own. Let the utilities do that. And we did see Southern California Edison crews back in the Altadena neighborhood today trying to make that happen. But it's going to be a long road. And the thinking is they'll probably go up there, take pictures for their insurance company, assess what they need to do, and then go back to where they are sheltering.
Yeah, just the beginning of a long journey to recovery. John, thanks for your reports out there.
Ooh-wee. It is popping and locking. It is popping and locking, y'all. It is popping and locking.
And he died needlessly. His mum Shelley revealing the litany of letdowns as the Palisades fire approached. Guess what didn't work? 911. All the phone lines were down. Rory, who was born blind with cerebral palsy, lived in a self-contained cottage on the property. Embers were raining down. Shelley's hoses ran dry. He said, "Mum, leave me." And no, Mum can leave the kid. And I've got a broken arm. I couldn't lift him. I couldn't move him. She drove 400 metres through the smoke to her local fire station for help. They said, "We've got no water." And I said, "Oh my God, my son is locked in his room." While crews closer to sea level had water, in the mountains they were armed only with axes and couldn't stop the flames taking over. When the fire department brought me back, his cottage was burnt to the ground. British-born Rory moved to Australia as a child. Shelley wrote a book about his determination to walk and see. He even appeared on Australian TV. Tell them it's not what happens to you in life, it's what you do right that counts. Rory is not yet part of the official death toll. Cadaver dogs will be needed to find his remains.
Down in Hawaii, you had some. Just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, you had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties.
That was hilarious. I didn't expect that. I'm gonna keep that. It's real in the field, y'all. It is really real in the field right about now. It's really real. So yeah, as you can see, it's a lot going on, y'all. I ain't even got through the tip of the iceberg. Got my beard looking good. That's shout out to beloved sister Lisa Cabrera with the 12 Tribes on Earth beard oil. Y'all can check that out. Some good stuff. You can scan the QR code. That'll take you right to her page. You can also get the family handbook, the AK family handbook. Big Levi and the students. It's a good book. Get your spiritual background check done. It's definitely needed during these times right now, folks. I'm telling you, got to get your mind right, Get your Instead of getting all your NFL and NBA stats, you got to get your spiritual stats up. And that's the time that we're in right now. Get your spiritual stats up. So, yeah. Anyways, we are live. We are live. Shout out to everybody out there right now. So, let me bring this back up. Because the weather is crazy everywhere.
In Florida, recovery from recent natural disasters is a shared reality for many.
On Madeira Beach, a mother lost her home to Hurricane Helene, while her son in California is now close to the fire line. 10 Tampa Bay's Christina Mendez looks at the similarities in response to the two devastating disasters.
That's exactly what it is. You're stuck.
Stuck in the cycle of searching for a place to call home once again after Hurricane Helene hauled away all but their memories made on Madeira Beach.
We're pretty much living out of our car and from place to place.
Tina DeMar and her husband say they rented the same island residence for 14 years, but finding another, even with federal assistance, has been a hurdle.
And the prices that they're charging for them, some of them are twice as much as what I was paying to live on the beach.
While the Mars are stuck, waiting for the right place to plant roots.
He's got his car packed, ready to go.
Across the country, her son is hoping not to be ripped from his own home in California.
So it's not spread up that hillside towards where he's at right now. So we just hope and pray.
There were a lot of similarities between hurricane and wildfire.
Ella Landegger, a volunteer with the Red Cross, says one of the biggest is being forced to leave behind all that you know.
Hurricane, we know you go to high ground or you get to a very secure building. In California, that's not an option right now.
As flame-stoking winds stir through communities or families try to find their footing after flooding, Landegger says responding to a natural disaster looks the same behind the lens of their organization.
We're in the back helping the people who need to be held and comforted and fed and given shelter.
In Pinellas County,
we're alive, we lived, we survived.
Christina Mendez.
And just keep on going.
10
You gotta keep on going, gotta keep on pushing, baby. Gotta keep on pushing. You gotta keep on pushing, you gotta grab the
More than 12,000 homes and structures have been destroyed in California. Rents there are skyrocketing, and authorities are warning against price gouging. Dangerous Santa Ana winds are forecasted to return next week. ABC's Matt Gutman reports.
Tonight, with that fire danger looming, families in Southern California are shell-shocked and worried a new inferno could break out.
They've got everything prepared. You can see the monumental amount of resources. A fire truck here, one tucked in there, another one in that driveway, 5, 6, and on down almost every block. Fire trucks here in this canyon.
Today, we spoke with LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
There is another Santa Ana wind event forecast for next week. Yes. Yes. The LA County Fire Department's going to be ready.
Across the fire zone, at least 24 still missing tonight. Meanwhile, thousands of displaced families are struggling to find shelter. Rents skyrocketing.
My son keeps asking me, when are we going to stop moving? And I don't have an answer for it.
After the Eaton fire destroyed her family's Altadena home, Erica Lee telling our Jacqueline Lee she's seen the price gouging firsthand.
How quickly are these listings getting taken off the market? I've reached out to a couple places, and a lot of them have already been taken. And one that I applied for upped the rent $1,000 an hour after I applied.
LA's district attorney demanding it stop.
So not only are you going to be looking at criminal penalties, you will be looking at civil penalties. You will be publicly shamed.
And today, children whose elementary schools burned down in the Palisades fire welcomed to new ones.
We're excited. I'm really thankful for Brentwood opening their doors, and I feel like it's been really helpful.
But it's not school that's on their minds, or even the Play-Doh in 9-year-old Charlotte Owens' hands. Her home has smoke damage.
I had to spend my birthday under evacuation. My worries of just like my house burning down just gone to my head. Nightmares of no house. And stuff being gone. My childhood memories might be gone.
Critical fire danger remains through tonight with gusty winds, especially in the mountain passes. But the good news is conditions are set to improve towards the end of the week and the weekend. But then fire officials say they are bracing for another round of Santa Ana winds. Back up in ABC.
Dang. That little girl kept it straight 100. she kept it straight 100 more than any of these adults, right? She kept it straight 100 more than any of these adults. She kept it straight Santa Claus, no chaser. She kept it straight Santa Claus, no chaser, y'all. She ain't home back now. One Mike Tyson punch. She let it all out like, I ain't getting no sleep. This is, I spent my birthday. It's a whole gumbo pot. It's a whole gumbo pot.
This morning, the Department of Justice is expanding a lawsuit claiming several landlords helped illegally inflate rent prices. The department, along with 10 states, are accusing 6 landlords that together operate over 1.3 million units of scheming to avoid lowering the rent. This morning, the DOJ says just one of the 6 landlords has agreed to cooperate with prosecutors.
Ooh. You know they're not trying to cooperate. You know they're not trying to cooperate.
I took off all of my rings because it was so dry. I just kept putting hand lotion on, and my rings were starting to kind of slide off. I thought, I don't need to look for that if the power goes off. I'll just set it by the front door with my keys so I can grab it on the way out.
Sadly, she didn't grab the rings on the way out, so after her home burned, she returned on a mission.
So I just asked these firefighters if they wouldn't mind just helping me find my ring.
And the firefighters found something too.
They're just like hands and knees digging through the ash, and one of the guys says, I found a ring, but it's not gold. And I said, oh my God, that's my wedding band. I could not, for the life of me, believe that this little tiny thing was found amongst ash.
Those guys don't look like looters. They could have been looters. They could have easily been selling a bullshit lie story, right? Could be. Y'all pointed the finger at us many times. Yeah. You guys are under speculation now as well. Nobody's exempt. Nobody's exempt. If you don't believe me, go watch Black Summer. Go watch Black Summer. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. Yeah, you never know what's going on. And that's prompting so much stuff going on. It's just bad weather everywhere. You can't beat it. You're not going to beat it. You can't shoot it. You can't do none of that. No bazookas, none of that. No. You're just dealing with the agony of the cold right now. He was just complaining about this. He thought he was Tiananmen Square. He thought he was Billy Badass the Penguin. And got rolled over like a body pan.
Of the 4 people found dead in a home near Puyallup on New Year's Eve. The Pierce County medical examiner says 68-year-old William Vossler and 66-year-old Eileen Vossler were found with multiple stab wounds. Their deaths were ruled homicides. The medical examiner says 33-year-old Shane Vossler, their son, died by suicide. The 4th person, 34-year-old Sue Bin Lee, died of a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of her death has been undetermined. The sheriff's department went to the home for a welfare check at the end of December after they learned the son's girlfriend posted online in November the couple was considering suicide. A search warrant showed a note left in the home indicated they had been dead since July.
There have been many reports, y'all. That's why I'm just throwing it out there, chumming, because this is way deeper than what you are seeing. I just showed you one video. One video. There are many. There are many.
Prepare for the colder temperatures. Many of you have been reaching out to KHOU11 wondering, what do I need to know if I'm renting a home or an apartment?
Yeah, for example, if you're behind on rent, are you subject to eviction in freezing temperatures? Our Stephen Goen spoke to experts and has more on renters' rights.
During a freeze, the last thing you'd want to happen is to get kicked out of your home. But what if you're facing an eviction? Can your landlord or property manager legally evict you when there are freezing temperatures outside? The answer is yes. Evictions don't stop just because of cold weather. Some states have laws that delay evictions due to freezing temperatures, but Texas is not one of them. Now, there is one weather exception that can change the process or possibly delay things. Attorney Donna Carney with Lone Star Legal Aid explains.
There's nothing in the law that gives a tenant protection from freezing temperatures or exorbitant heat. It just doesn't exist. The law makes no accommodation to protect a tenant from the elements. The one weather exception is that constables cannot come and actually remove a tenant, physically evict them from the home if it's raining outside. And I think that the reasoning behind that is that once the personal possessions are removed from the unit, they'll be sitting outside. If it's raining, they'll get wet. And so the law gives some reprieve to a tenant on rainy days.
According to Texas Property Code, that weather exception also extends to days when it's snowing or sleeting. Unfortunately, if it's clear outside and you've been evicted, the process will likely continue. If you find yourself facing an eviction during a freeze, there are attorneys you can work with for free or at very low cost. While fighting the eviction, legal experts warn that you shouldn't self-evict or leave your rental before you've officially been told to go, because there could be legal implications to that. Now, if you need help fighting an eviction before temperatures drop, you can contact a Lone Star Legal Aid online or over the phone.
Yep, you're being evicted off of the land. No holds barred, no exemptions, no put it in the comment box, feedback box. It's just straight no chaser, getting removed from the land.
Los Angeles has been my second home for nearly 25 years, and I am devastated by what I've seen, read. It's horrific. Along with a lot of other people, I want to do something to help. I've done some research, and it looks like the Red Cross organization is doing an awful lot, and I'm sending you my love, my prayers, my support. Lots of love.
That's the look of, oh shit. That's the look of, oh shit. I just lost everything in a Thanos snap. And I'm not going to be able to recover. That is the look of many on many on many on many. And you're seeing these people grandstanding in with their very glorious and self-righteous King Cup of a Chalice come jangling and jangling in the communities. Jangling in the poor community. I need your help so I can get back rich, so I can keep this status, so I can keep telling you, your singing sucks. That doesn't look up, oh shit, from 83. Recognizing that. This is different. Ain't it, Simon Cowell? I'm just eating my popcorn and doing this song. Can I do that? I'm just saying. There's a lot going on. What do you want me to say about it? I understand. I know Because you know how much smack we have to deal with? Yeah. Cry me a river, Simon Cowell. No. No. We will not be getting up and going to do no hot old mess like that. I prefer to sit on right here and keep doing what I do best. Because it looks like it is not looking nice for some folks. It's getting real cold out here, y'all. It's getting real cold out here. I mean, what do you want to do? What do you want to say? I mean, it is definitely getting real. It's getting spicy. It's getting sticky. It's getting sticky. Mention it's sticky. No more sweets. They cutting it out.
Top story affecting families all across the country. Red number 3 now banned in food and drinks. 35 years after the Food and Drug Administration banned it in cosmetics like lipstick.
The synthetic dye that gives food and drinks a bright red cherry color has been linked to cancer since the 1990s. Tonight, your reporter in Adams County, Gabrielle Vidal, is speaking with parents who are happy about this new rule, which will affect thousands of foods in our country.
Yeah, Michael and Karen, red dye number 3 is one in many artificial dyes that many of us have probably consumed at one point or another. And like you said, it gives that bright red color to different food products. But now manufacturers who supply food with this kind of product to grocery stores like this one will have to find new ways to pigment their product.
I've loved baking since I was a teenager.
A lifelong passion that's since translated into a baking business for Thornton resident Jessica Gillen.
It'll be 3 years this September.
But creating the vibrancy of these perfectly sweet cookies often takes a little bit of help from artificial dyes like Red 3, a product found in items like candies, desserts, sprinkles, and even some medications.
It is something that has been in discussion about whether it's safe for human consumption or not.
Thank you for calling Rocky Mountain Poison Control Center. How may I help you?
At Rocky Mountain Poison and Drug Safety, Managing Director and Clinical Toxicologist Shireen Banerjee says the FDA's decision to now ban the artificial dye from store shelves comes after animal studies linking Red 3 to cancer.
It seems like animal studies have found that there might be an association with cancer in male rats.
While products like these could continue to be sold with Red 3 till January 2027, Banerjee assures even these products can still be consumed in moderation.
People have been consuming these for decades, and it's just a matter of, well, if you're going to give your child one every day, maybe give it once a week, and if you want to throw them out, throw them out.
But for bakers like Gillen.
So this was a huge, for our family, it was kind of we're excited for it.
She's already been working with her family on eating foods without artificial dyes and welcomes the challenge of removing the use of all artificial dyes on her baked goods as well.
Now going forward, I pretty much have to relearn how to color my icing. It's going to be a learning curve.
And while this is one artificial dye that the FDA is banning in the U.S. right now, there are a number of other artificial dyes that do pose some potential concerns with public health. Banerjee.
Yep, they are rolling out the red carpet, y'all. They are rolling out the red carpet. They all of a sudden stopping everything now. They don't want no more. They don't want no more beef.
Earlier this week, we told you about a persistent rat problem at Lanier Middle School. New at 6, Houston ISD Superintendent Mike Miles confirms the district is working with pest control teams to get rid of the rats. School leaders blame the problem on the cold weather, but educators say this has been a problem long before now. Here's Troy Kless.
The images can be startling, but seeing it in person.
Specifically, there's just been rats, rodent feces, pee, all over the desks, sometimes found in the gym area.
On Monday, an anonymous educator shared with KHOU 11 their experience with rats inside Lanier Middle School. Other educators believe the rodents have run through the halls for way longer.
This is not a new issue in HISD. Unfortunately, it's an ongoing issue, and In 2025, it has not been resolved.
Jackie Anderson with the Houston Federation of Teachers says other campuses have dealt with rodents in the past. We received a copy of a statement sent on Tuesday to parents from the Lanier Middle School principal. It says, in part, the cold weather drove in rodents, stating our grounds team is assessing and rectifying potential entry points for pests and rodents. The message states, we have not received any reports of urine, feces, or live rats in the classrooms. The photos and accounts from educators appear to tell a different story.
I'm hearing that they are sitting on counters and lounge spaces. They are in classrooms. They are, have been seen in open areas.
Principal states the school's grounds team is assessing potential entry points for pests and have increased traps and deterrents around the school. Educators don't believe it's enough.
Using rat traps, the sticky rat traps, as a way to get rid of the rats is not a solution at all. Sometimes they are left behind.
No excuses for what they call an unhealthy learning environment. Troy Klesk.
Way to go, kids, to stab them right there. Way to go to shiv them right there and twist them. This is not a healthy educational environment. For real.
Some Greenpointers say Transmitter Park is overrun by rats, and it's been an ongoing issue. News 12's Caitlin Ulrich went out there to get to the bottom of who is running the park.
This single post on Reddit left a lot of commenters shocked.
22 years, yeah.
But it didn't surprise long-term Greenpoint residents.
I think that they live mostly under, because you can see a lot of holes.
The photo is from this pollination area at Transmitter Park. Shortly after we reached out to the city parks department about it, a worker showed up. He was placing what appeared to be pellets in the den. A parks department spokesperson says workers visit often. There are rodent-resistant trash cans and a similar trash enclosure for trash bags outside of the park, but residents aren't sure all of that will help.
But I don't know if they can fix this problem because it's too much food around.
The Parks Department spokesperson also tells us workers will treat this hotspot of rat burrows with dry ice in the coming week. In Greenpoint, Caitlin Ulrich, News 12 Brooklyn.
Ooh-wee. What is going on? What the hell is going on in the sheets in my home? Baby, let me fix it before you start to porch, okay? How did I get into this? Should've never came home with this. You low down dirty woman. Back to where you come from. Baby, wait my ass. Your ass is grass. Wait, this cat looking real familiar. I know you from a long time ago. I don't think so. Yeah. Feel I know your brother very well. No, you mistaken for somebody else. Frank, can't you see too many talk about it? I told you to get the pocket. I think you better leave this place, 'cause I'm about to catch a case. You're contagious. Man, I promise you, I was in high school. We was all singing that. I ain't gonna lie. Man, you had that song going on. Like singing that song and like crossing people up on the court. Singing that and what else was out at that time? I think it was Usher, like Let It Burn. Yeah, it's fun times. I've had a lot of fun times. Yeah. Man, these rats is out here.
Start with the story that I must say you just cannot make this stuff up. Rats, yes, rats, dining on drugs in one of the Houston Police Department's evidence rooms. We're talking everything from marijuana to psychedelic mushrooms.
It is such a problem. The district attorney's office has had to notify attorneys in thousands of drug cases. Jason Miles is live from HPD headquarters tonight where rats were detected there. Jason.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, specifically narcotics evidence is kept in a big room up on the 25th floor here at 1200 Travis. In this case, rats got into an envelope containing, of all things, psychedelic mushrooms. Scaffolding has been up around HPD's headquarters for months as exterior issues are addressed. But it's a big evidence room inside that's getting attention too.
The Harris County District Attorney's Office was notified last week that the HPD Narcotics Evidence Room at 1200 Travis had a problem or issue with rodents.
Joshua Reese is general counsel for the DA's office, which is notifying defense attorneys in more than 3,600 open drug-related cases out of an abundance of caution. However, Reese says the specific item, rodents infiltrated, involves only one active case.
They got into a packaging containing mushrooms.
Newly installed DA Sean Tier, Mayor John Whitmire, HPD Chief Noah Diaz, and others alluded to evidence room issues last Friday at a separate facility on Washington Avenue.
Just one example, we got 400,000 pounds of marijuana in storage that the rats are the only ones enjoying it.
We have notes from a 1947 homicide that we still keep.
Narcotics evidence rooms and evidence rooms in general that are kind of filled to the brims with old evidence, it's a national issue.
An issue city leaders like Councilmember Mary Nan Huffman, who sits on the Public Safety Committee, hopes the chief and others get a handle on.
It seems like he's already taking steps to change things over at Travis, and hopefully he takes this issue very seriously.
For now, HPD and other agencies have permission to destroy any drug evidence from cleared cases prior to 2015. And so far, no specifics on pest control protocols and things like that here at 1200 Travis. I did ask HPD if we could get inside, get video of the evidence room, even just the door that says evidence room on it. That request was declined.
Man, just how nasty is y'all? Just how nasty is y'all?
You might recall the story. A Boar's Head plant in Virginia shut down because of listeria contamination. Now, new federal records say the same unsanitary conditions existed at several other plants. One person from New Jersey was among 10 who died from that listeria outbreak. News 12 New Jersey's Amanda Lee with new information now.
Boar's Head facilities in Indiana, Arkansas, and another one in Virginia continue to operate after multiple violations. Federal reports say meat and fat residue were found on equipment, dripping with condensation that fell onto food. They say facilities had mold, insects, and other issues dating back 6 years.
It's pretty scary. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
Butcher shop owner Donna Leonard orders from a Boar's Head distributor.
Sales have cut down from it because people are afraid to buy Boar's Head.
She says she's glad the company is actively working to fix the issue, but when it comes down to it, she may have to do what's best for business.
You know, I may look into trying other ones, distributors.
While distributors, delis, and meat lovers are getting a bad deal, USDA officials say they're taking new measures to control listeria in Boar's Head plants, like increased inspections. Boar's Head officials say they still plan on hiring a food safety culture manager. Meantime, the company faces a plethora of lawsuits.
Ew. I don't know about you, but sound like they off the menu.
Season running rampant across the country. CDC says 13 states reported high or very high levels of the flu last week. And now a leading decongestant that's used in Sudafed, Dayquil, and other non-prescription medications could soon come off store shelves because doctors say it doesn't work. The FDA is in the process of revoking the use of phenylphephrine in over-the-counter drugs. If the FDA issues a final order, then companies will have at least a year to reformulate their medications. But for now, if you're feeling stuffed up, opt for a nasal spray decongestant like Afrin or Flonase.
Man, these companies is just getting called out for all of this nonsense.
Texas officials have a warning for hunters and nature lovers alike. They're not nice to look at, but these fly larvae are even worse to come in contact with, okay? These are called screw worms. That's what they're called, screw worms. And Texas Parks and Wildlife Department officials say these larvae, these screwworms, are flesh-eating.
Oh.
And while they mostly target livestock, they could also look for you, all right?
Yeah.
They were detected down in Mexico, and now officials are worried that they could migrate up here into Texas. The screwworms, everybody.
Yeah. Those sound like the worms and the flies is screwing you over badly. It's looking real bad. It's looking real bad, y'all. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. I just gotta put that out there. Yep. It's going down. It's going down. Yes, it's going down.
The people were ordered to evacuate, and a part of Highway 1 in Northern California was closed as a major fire erupted on Thursday afternoon at one of the world's largest battery storage plants. Take a look.
I gotta use the music. So you always gotta come back to that. That's how they get you. It's like, you don't even need to do all that. You don't even do all it. You don't even need to do all it.
Seafood restaurant in Galveston, you might think you're eating Gulf shrimp, but probably not.
Researchers contracted to test the shrimp served at restaurants in Galveston and Kemah found out what customers are eating is more likely to be imported from out of the country than caught in the Gulf. The company doing the DNA test on the shrimp is calling it massive consumer fraud. Matt Doherty is speaking with the researchers and restaurants tonight. He's in Galveston now with the story.
Researchers say that even restaurants that advertised Gulf shrimp on their menus were actually serving shrimp that was farmed thousands of miles away. Galveston shrimping industry has been sinking for years. Shrimpers say the competition from cheaper, farm-raised imported shrimp has driven down the price per pound of Gulf shrimp so much they're losing money each time they put gas in their boats.
There used to be 300 boats. I think now there's 7 or 8 in Galveston. That's sad. It's just really sad.
Nikki Johnson Coons, also known as the Shrimp Diva, married into a family of Galveston shrimpers that's made a living fishing the waters of the Gulf for generations. She wasn't surprised to learn recent genetic tests performed on shrimp dishes at 44 seafood restaurants in Galveston and Kemah revealed nearly 60% of them were serving shrimp that was imported and raised in farms abroad.
It wasn't shocking. The restaurants that failed, I hope that they come around and just start doing what's right. Is not lying to their customers.
Looking from the outside, you can't really see any difference. If you just saw a dish with one of the other items, you wouldn't be able to identify which one is which.
Dave Williams is a commercial fishery scientist. He's also the founder of Seed Consulting, the Houston-based company that developed a DNA testing process it says can determine a shrimp's origin, whether it's raw or cooked. Last year, the company was contracted by the Southern Shrimp Alliance to investigate randomly selected restaurants in Galveston and Kemah that claimed or implied they served wild-caught Gulf shrimp.
59% of the restaurants serving shrimp were serving imported farm-raised shrimp. Of those, approximately half of them actually said that they were Gulf shrimp when they weren't.
The rest, Williams says, implied they were serving Gulf shrimp through the restaurant's marketing. The Federal Trade Commission is the authority that's supposed to enforce incidents of consumer fraud. The agency declined our request for an interview today. However, on its website, the FTC warns restaurants they may be committing fraud even by the decorations in their dining rooms, like fishing nets and boats, implying their seafood is caught locally.
Kind of a bait and switch. I don't think it's fair.
Chris Lopez is the executive chef at Boulevard Seafood on the Galveston Seawall. His restaurant is among the little more than a dozen tested by Seed that turned out to actually be serving wild-caught Gulf shrimp.
If you're a tourist, You come to Galvin, you want product from these waters. You don't want to come here and then get a frozen product from somewhere else. It makes no sense.
Instead of naming the restaurants that didn't pass the test, Dave Williams says his company will be sending them letters first. He's hopeful they'll make the changes on their own for the sake of their customers and for the sake of the Texas shrimpers. From
Ooh-wee. Yeah, I don't know about that, y'all. Galveston is actually the home of the Emancipation Proclamation, the birthplace of when slaves were told by federal amendment that they were no longer slaves and they were free men. So great town, great history. I'm not getting that water though. I'm not getting that water though. We ain't supposed to be eating no shellfish. I ain't getting that water. It was jellyfishes in there and it was dookie brown. So there ain't no looking down in the water and all that. So I don't know about all that shrimping around. And then you just had so many different incidences that have happened out there. Like you're like oil refining right next to where the shrimp are at, or anything like that. It's just like, ugh, it's just crazy. It really is. But it's like all of these different regions around the world have, places where they eat this stuff, and it's okay. They eat up and soak up they eat up all the trash, man. It's just, that water was a no-go. It really was. This stuff is happening everywhere, though. The food is getting contaminated.
Officials in Rutherford say a busy road will be closed for the foreseeable future while crews work to repair a sinkhole that broke this morning. News 12 New Jersey's Tom Krasnowski is along West Erie Avenue with a look at where things stand. Tom?
And Naomi, this is definitely going to be, and already is, a disruption for Rutherford residents. Right now, crews repairing this sinkhole. It's about the size of a parking space. That's dangerous, for one, on this busy road. And like you said, what's unknown is how much longer this road is going to be closed. But show you a better look at what we're dealing with right now, what the crews are working on. Borough officials say this broke at about 11 a.m. One of the first things crews have to do is drain all that water out to even get a better idea of what happened and how to repair this. It's going to take some time, but the good news is utilities in the area are not impacted right now. There is some traffic, though, building up around the detoured areas. This is a busy part of Rutherford. It's right by the train station, some businesses, and apartment complex. It's too early to know the cause and the damage from this sinkhole, but if you're watching News 12, it has been the season for sinkholes and also water main breaks. We'll keep you updated on this one, any impacts from it. But for now in Rutherford.
It's interesting. Like I said, this is the season now. You're starting to see many earthquakes happen in locations where there's never been an earthquake. They've never got one little shakeup. So now you're getting shakeup and you're busting all type of pipes. These grounds everywhere are like empty. It's like what if you were just walking on a complete, and all the ground under you for miles? There was nothing under there, like no sand, no dirt, no rocks, no hard sediment. You know what I'm saying? And you're seeing these sinkholes just everywhere popping up. It just goes to show a lot of stuff that's been going on. There's a lot of stuff going on, y'all. It's just everything's getting disrupted, no matter where you go.
Slipping, sliding, hanging on for dear life. If you're having trouble on the icy sidewalks this year, you're not alone.
Chicago residents have already lodged hundreds of complaints to 311. Our Sarah Maki is listening to those complaints and diving into the numbers to find out which neighborhoods are having the most trouble. She joins us now. And Sarah, I know you're in one of those areas as we speak.
Yeah, Joe, Erica, we are here in Westtown where they had the highest number of complaints to 311. A lot of places are clear behind us because of some hard work and some help from Mother Nature. But here's what we are also seeing. Some places still covered in snow. So when we looked at the numbers, we found some of them to be pretty surprising. And we found ways that the city is trying to help. On four legs or two, Westtown residents know how slick the sidewalks can be.
So this is the most I've ever walked. I would love it if we're cleaned up a little bit better.
Because this neighborhood tops the list for 311 snow removal complaints, followed by East Garfield Park, Belmont Cragen, Portage Park, and Albany Park. And the numbers, like the snow, are piling up. In all of 2024, Chicago residents made nearly 3,000 complaints. Only 15 days into the new year, we're halfway there already. More than 1,500 requests. And take a look, it has been a couple years since we saw so much snow stick. The numbers reflect it. Residents may be getting an assist from Mother Nature right now, but the city requires property owners to clear a 5-foot wide path on sidewalks or face fines. $500 per day for individuals, $1,000 for businesses.
We have the people come give tickets, so why can't people just come by and take pictures of, you know, the sidewalk not being iced and shoveled?
To ease frustration, the city now allocated $500,000 for a Plow the Sidewalks pilot program.
That would be amazing. That would life-changing for us.
Life-changing, just one step at a time.
If she wants to go for longer, I'll go. So if I don't have anything planned, you'll be out here all day.
If you want to see where your neighborhood ranks on that list, plus we have the list of 311 dibs calls.
I've never heard so many people like complain about walking on snow. Man, you can't walk on the snow. Is that slippery? Slipping and sliding? Is that bad? You just dipping and gliding? Yeah, Galveston water's gross. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I was down there, met up with one of the good brothers in the nation, and seen jellyfish all throughout the water. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not getting that water. No. They had a little carnival there, which was dope. They had like this pull-up bar. It was like loose. It spins around. And so you had to hold on to that bar that spins around for 1 minute and 45 seconds in order to get the big prize. And so I was up there, and I think I fell down 4 seconds short of it. 4 or 3 seconds short of it. I was so pissed. I was like, I didn't even have to do nothing. And just the split loss of concentration at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, ugh. But no, it was fun at that little carnival, you know, at that. And then the other one was pop these balloons, and I was just like, I was popping so many in a row that like other people were looking like, oh my goodness, he's awesome. But no, I enjoyed myself. It was good. It was all good. But I think that was like a night of a full moon. I think I got the pictures with it, stuff like that. But yeah, I've been everywhere, y'all. Been everywhere. Galveston definitely down there. That
Now,
water.
this is all debris scattered by the windstorms over the weekend. The municipality opened up this woodlot just this morning, and already you can see how much has accumulated as residents come to drop off any sort of wood debris, branches, stumps, trees that have fallen down in their yards as a result of the storm. Solid Waste Services typically charges residents to drop off debris, but after so many people ended up with wood debris in their yards and neighborhoods, the municipality decided to make it free through the end of the month. We spoke to a couple of residents who had trees fall in their yard and were dropping off the pieces.
We got all that cut up and picked up, and we have someone that's going to, donate the actual wood too. So that's a blessing. And then we just go off the branches out here. The free dump, which is good.
I could not believe how much wood just accumulated inside a day. It's hard to believe this is all from just neighbors, and I know this cleanup's probably nowhere near. In the first day, we're just getting started, so there's a lot to do still.
For those who need it, there's a woodlot at the Anchorage Regional Landfill in Eagle River and one across from the Central Transfer Station in Midtown. Both are accepting debris, but only wood debris, which includes branches, trees cut to under 6 feet, stumps free of dirt or rocks, and wooden fencing or lumber without any other materials, metal, or concrete. The woodlot here in Midtown Anchorage is open to any residents who need to drop off debris from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. through the end of this month. Joe Allgood.
Ooh-wee. It is going down, y'all. It is going down. It is not over. We are not done. We are not done. That's how bad the weather is everywhere. Can't escape.
In St. Louis City, and no, the road's still pretty icy.
Well, if you live in St. Louis City and know the road's still pretty icy out there, and it's taking some heat for not plowing or treating some side streets. Fox News' Laura Simon is at Ballpark Village to tell us where you can voice your concerns today.
Side streets across the city of St. Louis are still covered in ice, making them nearly impossible to navigate. But the Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee is holding a meeting this afternoon for people to voice their concerns. But the problem for some people is going to be the fact that they still haven't even been able to leave their houses because their streets are covered in a sheet of ice. We want to show you some video of this guy ice skating on his street in Dogtown more than a week after that first round of winter weather. Main roads like McCausland Avenue, they're plowed and treated, but not many of our side streets. Alderman Tom Oldenburg tells us he's been getting tons of calls from seniors and people who are disabled, still trapped in their homes. Even city salt trucks have been struggling to navigate our icy streets. People have been slipping and sliding, simply walking out to their cars to get to work in the morning. And now the city is working to treat our side streets with salt in hopes of breaking up some of this ice. But parked cars on both sides of the road are making that difficult too. City officials say they are discussing a plan to require people to move their cars during snow events, similar to monthly street cleaning rules. The city has also ordered smaller snowplows specifically for our side streets, but those aren't expected to be in service until next winter. So that doesn't necessarily help us right now, right? Well, in the meantime, people that we've been talking to, they are hoping that these treatment efforts start to work, and they're also crossing their fingers for warmer temperatures to come and melt some of this ice.
Oh yeah, for sure. Every time I'm driving around, it feels like, you know, I'm going to get in a crash or get some adrenaline rush or something. So yeah, not very fun. Ready for it to go.
I walked my car yesterday morning to go to work and fell 3 times. So, yep. Thankfully, I caught my balance and I'm okay, yeah.
We're certainly glad she's okay. The Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee meeting is happening at 3:30 this afternoon in room 208 of City Hall, and people are welcome to come and share their experiences, voice their frustrations, and city officials will hope.
Oh my goodness, it's just so bad I can't walk on the snow. No, this snow is bad. It's going to get even worse. It's going to get even worse just because of the simple fact that you have a blizzard, snow frost, wet and dry. Like, you're getting the whole combination. Like, hold on, let me go back to that. Because that's the inside of an icing rink. And it's like, it looked like it's like turtle shelled over ice to where none of that salt is ripping through any of that. It's like you can't even move your car. Like, you're at risk moving your car. Like, you literally are going to slip and slide on that. This is around the whole country, and it's going to be trickling down there all the way to Houston and Florida, you know? So everything that I show is for a reason. I haven't even really gotten to how I want to explain all this, but, you know, I'm just letting the pictures and everything speak for itself of how much everything is disrupted. Y'all do know that the inauguration just got disrupted by these same cold winter storm chills to where now they have to move it indoors. It's going to be that cold. It's not going to be nice for none of them. That alignment is on the 21st, and they're coming right behind the butt crack of it, coming right around the corner of it. So yes, I just want to finish up with a couple left and go from there, because this is some wild mess, y'all. I'm telling y'all, some wild mess. We ain't done. We are not done. It's definitely going to be a wild ride going on.
There are now limits on who can visit patients at the hospital. New visitor restrictions began this morning for Novant. WECT's Raina Kroom stopped by Novant New Hanover Regional and has details on what visitors should know.
While visiting a loved one in the hospital can bring you comfort, it can also bring them illness. It's for that reason doctors say these restrictions are in place for patients' best interest.
Children under the age of 13 are now being asked to not visit friends or family in the hospital. Health officials say this is being done because of the recent increase in the number of people who have respiratory viruses.
We are seeing a large influx right after the holidays of people getting sick with COVID, flu, and RSV.
In December alone, the number of positive cases jumped from 11% positive to 14%. And with the higher number of germs in the air, it's putting some of the most vulnerable at risk.
It can increase, unfortunately, mortality risk, especially for elderly patients if they have something else going on.
Limiting the possibility of exposure. But there are a few exceptions to the rule. If a friend or family member is in the hospital on end-of-life care, children under 13 could be granted permission to visit. The goal is to not keep people separated, but give those who are working to get better the best chance at returning to a healthy life.
The restrictions were really put in place to try and help mitigate or reduce the risk of other people getting exposed to those viruses and also getting sick in the hospital.
There's no set date on how long the limitations will be in place. If more people keep coming in sick, the restrictions could be in place until spring. The restrictions also apply to the Novant hospitals in Pender and Brunswick counties. Cape Fear Valley has also put visitor limitations in place. In Wilmington, Raina Crooms, WECT News.
News station show is hiring. They're getting them in there. We need some bodies. We need some bodies. We shipping them out. We need some new blood in here. We need some new blood in here. Where y'all at? We need some new blood. We going down for the count right about now. We going down. We can't leave our house. It's too snowy outside and cold. I might slip. I don't got no good balance. You know my equilibrium. My cataracts is kicking in. I don't know about my bad hip. I got a kickstand on my hip. No, I'm not going nowhere. No, you get that job away. I'm good. I'll sit here. Everything is getting disrupted. Yes, beloveds, it is no joke. It is no joke. And I definitely want to see everybody do their thing. But that's what's going on right now. And I think I'm going to go ahead and we'll close out on there because all the videos I have left are set up. I've never seen so many blacks on TV news now. Yeah, for real. Like every channel I show you, literally, and they all over the place. All the news that I get is from all around the world. So I try to get the world out of the way, in a good way, obviously. Just let me take this down. So I try to get all of the world out of the way just so I can get what's going on around us, because you always got to be looking down thither. These Bible words be reading this Bible in the morning. I love it. It's been so prophetic. It's been amazing. So I'm appreciative. I'm humbled. Anyways, I haven't seen this many brothers and sisters being able to get. I might get my little happy jolly face on there, but I'm on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to do like I'm doing now. Like, this is my own news channel, and so I'm just reporting what comes as it is, as the Spirit leads me through each video, allowing me to convey it, a very understanding, simplistic, practical, and a very real story. It's not nothing sugar-coated. I'm not doing anything as far as production, as far as changing and manipulating any of the videos. All of it is straight as it is. Wherever the sources are at, I allow the sources to be there. This is all fair use. I don't, I'm just reporting. I'm just observing and reporting, So when it comes to all of these things, I try to get with the main things that may be going on in the news during the afternoon. And then at nighttime, I try to do like my American crime. So I believe we may be having Esau's trouble tonight. And then if we do have that, then possibly I will come back later tonight and do the American crime. Because that one is a doozy. I got tabs open right now. So I might go ahead and do that tonight and just have some fun. I'm just gonna have some fun because this stuff is definitely gonna be some fun. And we'll just go from there. And hope everybody enjoys their time. I have some work to do. I definitely have some work to do. And I'm so thankful for everybody out there across all platforms. Instagram, everybody out there. I just got out of TikTok jail. So today I didn't put it up right now because I had so many videos that had backlog. I didn't even get the chance to get up. Well, no, I did. I got them all off of here, so I'm clear. So I'll have the next fresh batch of stuff for you to go ahead and enjoy. But yeah, definitely American Crime to me is just I'm enjoying that one. I'm not enjoying like the seeing like the crazy stuff it is because it is what it is. This is the most highest judgment. But to be able to be the orator, to be able to be the professor behind this, and I might wear my glasses. I might throw on the Uncle Prime Black, no, the Uncle Prime Blacks. Yeah. So, but no, I enjoy it. Every time I get up here and be able to speak to the people, and speak to the folks, and we just staying ahead of everything, staying in the loop. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope that this is much more valuable information than meaningless. Tell me if any of these are meaningless. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me if they would be not useful, because even when I'm seeing all this stuff, I have articles to be like tying in, like, okay, why are Gen Z doing these things, or why are people who retire don't have them significant purposes after retirement. Let me look down these articles because I definitely want to. How people are quiet quitting. You got China's economy facing disaster, population. China using AI and BCI and humanoid robots to help in elderly caregiving there now. So they're trying to roll out all them robots now. Parents are gaming their kids' credit score now. That's one that I can really, many people can relate to, but that's the new thing, So I'm starting to place that out because that's going to tie into the American crime aspect too. How meditation changes your brain for the better. People who are lazy and unproductive in life often display these traits. 8 subtle body language signs of lonely and unhappy people. These are topics that we can talk, that we will be discussing 10 times. You're a difficult person to get along with, even if you don't. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that one. 9 subtle behaviors of people who grew up with cold and unaffectionate parents. People who are not successful need to say goodbye to these 8 behaviors. How to help teens discover what they want to be when they grow up. Because most people definitely didn't turn out to be what they wanted to be when they grew up, And so, yeah, that's a tough one. I remember, I think I said I wanted to be a hematologist because I used to watch the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes a lot, and I thought he was just awesome in that movie. So I thought about it. I wanted to do that until I saw Real Blood. I was like, nah, I don't want your ish on me. Mm-mm. Yeah, people who slowly withdraw from the world as they get older usually display these type of. So I got plenty of articles like on both of these, just to go down, the list and stuff like that. So we have plenty of work to do. We have plenty of work to do to cleanse our palates. Yes. And that's what I feel like I need to do. And no, straight no chaser, and very brotherly, what I'm saying, sisterly hug, what I'm saying, and just gathering ourselves together to do better and be better. I think this is the time that we can start noticing things that we may have not been 100% honest about with our own selves. Maybe we may have been 65% honest with ourselves about a situation, or maybe 73 or whatever. But it's time now to be able to like really have these intricate conversations, and whether they're about ourselves or about the company that we keep, and where we need to reevaluate the association of the relationships and friendships. So at the end of the day, as long as we're working on what the Most High has in front of us to get ourselves together and get ourselves right, I think that's important, and the time is now. So, but I will definitely be back on here later on to keep it going, and we're going to tap into what is going on in the world of crime around the world right now. So what really was going on at a lot of places right now. So